Hi there, book lovers. Welcome back. Today I am going to go through part of my haul that I got on my road trip to By the Whistle bookstore in Jansen, Nebraska. And I went there a couple weeks ago, so it's been a while. I apologize for taking so long, but I just went through my pile of books yesterday, which is unheard of. Usually I get them home and I can't wait to go through them, but I actually went through very carefully yesterday and looked through what I had, and I kind of divided them up into a couple of groups. So I'm not going to even get through all of the ones that I got, but there were some that I wanted to point out, so I will have to go through most of them quickly. And if you want to find out if I got that third History for Peter book from Gerald Jansen, then you'll have to wait to the end and see if I got them all. So let's just go ahead and get right to it. The first book I picked up is Winter Danger. This is by William O. Steele. He wrote a lot of kind of adventure stories, pioneer type stories. So those are always good to pick up if you come across them. I grabbed a couple of landmarks. This one is Will Shakespeare and the Globe Theater. You can tell it has some tape on it. Ex-library, I don't care. I always grab landmarks unless they are just like moldy and falling apart. Always grab landmarks. Fabulous series. And I have some at the top that you can't see, and I'm collecting them. So that is one that I do not have. And you'll see a difference too. Sometimes they have like a cloth cover, and you can see on the spine here that it has the landmarks kind of seal. And then this one is a pictorial cover. So you do see them in different bindings. And again, this one has the landmark seal. It's a little different because I think this one is an American one, whereas this one is a world landmark. So you have world landmarks that talk about things going on all over the world, William Shakespeare. And then you have things that happen specifically here in America. And these are part of that series. So this one is The Coming of the Mormons. And again, this is one that I do not have, so I was happy to grab that. Moving on, this is The Schoolmasters. It's from the Colonial American series. And these were written and illustrated by Leonard Everett Fisher. I love his illustration style. You can see here they're very distinct. They're very recognizable. So when you see it, you know it's him. Let me see if I can find one. So these series, there's several of them. I think there's like the glass makers, maybe woodcutters. I can't remember all of them, but they basically kind of take you through what it's like to be a colonial American and to have this profession. So it's a really neat series. Moving on, Anno's Journey. This is a wordless book, but I'm going to do a series, I think, on these books by Mitsumasu Anno. He did a lot of really neat math books especially, and I just love them. His illustrations are phenomenal, so I think I'm going to do a separate series, so look out for that. And then look at this. This is so cool. This is printed by Golden Press, I believe. Yeah, you can see here Golden Press. So this was printed in different versions, but this Golden Press one, I believe, is a little bit more rare to find. And it is the Walt Disney story of our friend the Atom. And I love it. You can tell the illustrations are really great. And just the content, it goes into, let me see. I'm trying to see who it talks about. It has illustrations from the staff artists of Walt Disney, first of all, which I think is really cool. But it talks about the smallest particle. It has a foreword by Walt Disney, which is really cool too. I think it also talks about different, like Galileo, different scientists. So just a really cool book. It's one of those big oversized books. I was really happy to find that one. Again, I wonder if you can recognize the illustrations here. These are illustrated by, again, Leonard Everett Fisher, and this is a series here. They're written by Richard Morris. I have The Indian Wars, and this series is American History topic books. So there is the American Revolution. There's a list here on the back, I'll show you. The Constitution, the founding of the Republic, the Indian Wars, and the War of 1812. This is the Indian Wars, which I think it might also be similar to the first book of Indians, because I believe he also authored that book. So this, I don't know if it's the exact same content or just similar content, but you can tell those very distinct, recognizable illustrations. So this one I found the Indian Wars, the founding of the Republic, and the War of 1812. So I have a couple more to find in that series, but almost a complete set. Then another really large book. This is Weapons by Edwin Tunis, and he just has, again, phenomenal, detailed little sketch illustrations of the working parts of different weapons. And he has several books like this. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I think he's a remarkable, these are remarkable books. So if you ever see anything by him, I would definitely grab them. So there's that one. This one I grabbed, The Fawn and the Woodcutter's Daughter. I grabbed for a couple of reasons. The author, Barbara Picard, she authored a King Arthur book that I have, so I recognize the author. The binding is a library rebound, so that always attracts my attention. And of course the illustrations, lovely book cover. That I found that one as well. This book I was excited to find too. This is Great American Heroines, and it has just little excerpts of different women. My toddler, of course, she always makes her appearance. So I think this is a great little introduction to different women in history. So we have Pocahontas and Dolly Madison and Harriet Beecher Stowe, Elizabeth Blackwell, Clara Barton, Jane Addams, Amelia Earhart, Helen Keller. I mean, so many wonderful women in history. And this is just a great way to sort of introduce them to your children. They can read about a little snippet about these women, and then you can find them a biography that goes a little bit more into detail for the women that they're really interested in or that they connect with. So I love little books like this for that purpose. Let's see. Sorry, I had to take a break really quick because my toddler was running around making a lot of noise in the background. So this one you found with me, and this was really exciting to find. This is an Immortals of Science book. It is Archimedes and the Door of Science, and it is by Jean Bendick, and she is a highly sought after author. And I have this book in paperback. It's a reprint. So I don't know. I was just so excited to find a hardback cover. I love the old hardbacks. They just make me happy. So this book is on a lot of homeschool curricula book lists, especially if you use like Charlotte Mason or Living Books. This one is, you'll be familiar with this one, but it is a good book. It's a good series. So I believe the Immortal of Science series is on Reshelving Alexandria. Okay, so this book, again, the Immortals of Science series, I believe you will be able to find this on the Reshelving Alexandria website. I believe they have a list of all the books in this series, so I'll try and link that below again so that if you want to go look those up, you should. Now, I was excited to find these because I do not have any in the series. I'm aware of them. I've seen them recommended. Again, I think on Reshelving Alexandria. These are the We Were There series, and this is We Were There with Caesar's Legions. So I was excited to find this. I don't have any, just to kind of give you an idea of the writing and the illustrations. I found that one, and then I found another one. This is We Were There at the Battle of the Bulge. You can kind of get a feel for the inside here. So another series that I'm probably going to have to start collecting, because why not? This was just a book I grabbed because it's about knights. You can see it's got this here on the cover, and that appealed to me. The Wandering Knight by Barbara Schiller. And also, look at those illustrations. I love it. I don't know anything else about this particular book, but yeah, but I like it. So I grabbed it. Oh, Oh, I did get another landmark. The Crusades. In fact, this book, I could see in the picture that was advertising the books at the bookstore that I went to. So I said, oh, I see the Crusades landmark there. They're probably going to have more landmarks, so it's going to be worth the trip. And boy, was it ever worth the trip. I did end up with only 3 landmarks, but if you go and watch my video, I'm pretty sure I left at least one behind. I think I saw a book that was the story of World War II, and I haven't looked it up yet, but I think that was a landmark. Maybe, I don't know. So I may have left one or a couple behind, because sometimes landmarks are reprinted, they're library rebound, and so they don't have the mark on the outside cover. You have to look inside to find out, unless you're very familiar with the titles, and there's a lot of them, so I'm not. So I think I left a couple behind. This book you guys saw me pick up, this is The Birth of the United States, and I'm not familiar with much of his books, much of his history books. He was a prolific writer, though. You might be familiar with I, Robot. Maybe you've watched the movie, but it actually was based on a book that he wrote. And I know a lot of people really like his history books, and they're coveted amongst the homeschool community, but I'm not familiar with them enough to say whether they're good or what kind of age range these particular ones are for, but he did write a lot. So I was happy to grab this because I'm really interested to read it and see what his style is like. So this one I was very excited to find as well. "1861, Year of Lincoln" by Genevieve Foster. Again, usually homeschoolers are familiar with Genevieve Foster. Her books are reprinted now because they are on a lot of homeschool lists. But obviously they're also in a lot of high school and school libraries. But this one in particular, to be honest, I don't even know if I knew this one existed. She has books, and I just was not familiar with this one. So when I saw her name, of course I grabbed this. So I'm really excited about that find. All right, I have a few more to go through. This one, this is a Who, When, Where book. And I don't remember how many there are, not very many in this series. This one says, From Famine to Fame, The Irish in America, and it is by Ruth Holland. Now this series, there are different authors for the books in the series, and I don't remember all of, like, how many there are. I want to say there's only a handful, maybe 4 or 5, but I do have one more, and I'll tell you specifically why I was excited to pick this one up. I didn't find this one at the book sale. I found this one at a thrift store a few years ago. This one is Early Settlers in America, and you can see it has the same logo here. But can you see the author there? Written by Helene Hamp. So I was excited because you may be familiar with a book called 84 Charing Cross Road, and she wrote that book, and it became a movie probably, when was that? Maybe in the 80s? It's a sweet, sweet book, but she wrote other little books to go along with that. And I just love her as an author, so I was excited to find that one. So that's a series, again, to kind of look out for. I don't know how many there are, but it looks like it's a good series. This book I grabbed this is one of those things where I liked the cover. I liked the way it looked. I don't know anything about it really. This is by Earl Myers, and it is called A Blazing Star, The Founding of the 13 Colonies. So of course, you know, that appealed to me as well, but just that cover is so lovely. So here's some of the content. You can see some of the illustrations. And then on the back it talks about some more books, I believe, written by him: Yankee Doodle Dandy, Billy Yank and Johnny Reb, Wild and Woolly West, and Men of Valor, which that sounds really familiar. Don't know why, but so there's that one. Stories of the Gods and Heroes by Benson, Library Rebound, just appealed to me, so I grabbed it. These books, I think you guys saw me grab this Fun with German book, because again, look at how cute that is. I couldn't pass that up. I don't know. I really think, though, these books, I don't know, I think he did one for French. I know he did one for Spanish because I got a couple I'm going to show you. He did this one for German. I really think that they would be useful in a homeschool setting or a school setting for someone who's trying to learn this language. And I'm trying to, when I searched through it, I couldn't quite grasp the age range. I might say middle school. These were in a high school library, so you certainly could use them for a high schooler. I don't know. In elementary, I think it just depends on the level of their understanding and their reading level, but honestly, I'm thinking maybe like a junior high level. So that was Fun with German. Here is Fun with Spanish. I don't know if I showed you the inside of Fun with German, but you can see there are black and white illustrations here. The first page, it tells you like you're at a Mexican restaurant and everything is in Spanish, but he's pointing out how some of the words are so similar to English, so we probably know more and can pick out more than we realize. So yeah, I think it's a neat book. I think it's a neat series. I'm gonna look more into these, especially for using with my daughter. And then he did, for Spanish, he did more Fun with Spanish. I guess it was so wildly popular with some of the librarians and school teachers that used it that they asked him, they requested that he make another one for Spanish, so he did. But I do believe that he did one for French and then obviously for German. And then I don't know if he did like more with German, more with French, or if it was just for Spanish because it was requested of him. So those are neat books. And they're not expensive. When I looked them up online, I think they're like maybe like $4 for the book, so not expensive. Okay, this one was another cool find because who do we have here? This is like the golden duo. We have Gerald Jansen and we have Leonard Everett Fisher. And this is Communism, an American's View. I don't think this one is quite as hard to find as the other one, of other of his books. Look at that. I just love his style. It's so captivating, isn't it? You just want to look at it and, I don't know, the expressions he gives people. Love it. Okay, so I was excited to find that one. Anything that had Gerald Jansen or Leonard Everett Fisher on it, I grabbed, basically. So that is why I grabbed this book, The Congress by Gerald W. Jansen, and illustrated by Leonard Everett Fisher. So this is not part, this is part of his, I believe, government series. This is not part of the History for Peter series. I'm not sure what age range this is for. It might be something you could use in high school, junior high. But he has a series. I know there's the Congress, the presidency, and I think maybe the Senate. I can't remember how many there are in this series. I think there's 3 in his government series. So yeah, another one worth checking out. Now these are pricey online, so I was really happy to find that. And finally, here we are. I have America is Born by Gerald Jansen. Super excited to find these. And you can see down here it says A History for Peter. And it has the 1 star on there, which typically indicates that this is the first book in the series. And this is the last one. This is the one we couldn't find. So my husband was looking, Matthew, the store owner, was looking, my son was looking. And the reason why we had such a hard time finding it, because he had books stacked like this. And we were looking for a red spine. And we were also looking for the name to be really big here. Well, as you can see, the name, I think, oh yeah, see, it's just faded. So I just happened to glance and see his name. Yeah, I was pointing to it. I happened to see his name, and then I flipped out and realized I found it, finally, the 3rd one. So yes, I got all 3 of them. I got America is Born, America Grows Up. So this is the 2nd one in the series. And the reason why these are so highly coveted, I think, is because if you're familiar with a Delectable Education, and I will link it below, they recommend this series. So a lot of people, homeschoolers especially, look out for it. and it's a little bit hard to find sometimes. So oh man, I cannot tell you how grateful I am that Matthew rescued all of these books. And then the final one, America Moves Forward. Can you imagine that these were all about to go in like a recycle bin? So it's just, I'm super, super grateful that I had the opportunity to go and dig through his books and dig out the treasures and rescue them and keep them and have them in our home library so that we can use them. And yeah, so that is all I'm going to show you for today. And I hope you enjoyed it. It was so much fun to go. And be on the lookout, because you will be so surprised at what you can find at thrift stores, at used bookstores, library sales. Go look, and you'll be able to find these treasures too. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.